older he was a wild man. He was into trouble all the time. He called himself the black sheep of the family kind of thing. But so he kind of was instituted talking my mother into getting me the racing go-karts.
Okay.
And that was the beginning. My dad took me to the first go-kart race I ever went to. That's the only one he ever went to.
Why?
He said, this is total foolishness. I don't know, crazy.
Oh,
Just
how old were you?
probably, I'm guessing I was kind of go back and looking at school ages and whatever. I'm going to say maybe 13.
Yeah.
12, 13.
Man.
Something like that.
He thought it was a waste of time.
Oh, yeah, he's a businessman.
Yeah.
You have to understand his background. He was one of 8 kids, I think 7 boys, and grew up out in the sticks down in South Mississippi on a dirt farm. They were just plowing a mule. And he said one day, I'm tired of looking back in this mule. I think I'm going to go to the big city, see if I can because nobody down here, nothing happened for their lives. They went to the big city, and the year I was born, he was the mayor of the city. And he went there, 8th grade education, and just worked hard, straight people, and did really well.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of his background. He was all business.
Yeah.
I asked him one time, I said, Dad, how come you don't have a hobby or anything? He said, I do have a hobby. He said, I hunt and fish. I do mine on Capitol Street.
Yeah.
I went, huh.
Yeah.
Never thought about it that way. And he said, I'm really good at it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So that was it.
So you continued to race, obviously, but how did you handle that without his support, or who was with you?
I found out there were some other kids that had go-karts too. And so I started a little kart business in the garage at the house.
Yeah.
Working on other people's carts, selling parts, buying parts, doing whatever to finance my karting stuff.
Wow.
Dad had nothing to do with it.
He didn't appreciate the businessman that you were? Because that's quite impressive.
I've never thought about that.
Yeah.
I don't know if he did or not. I mean, we had a great relationship as far as me and him went.
Yeah.
But I never remember getting any the dad boys or dad boys. But like I said, it was just all business. The first race that he took me to, that was the last race that they had at that track. They closed it. I think the next week I went to they had a go-kart club. I went to the go-kart club meeting. That was the last meeting. They disbanded the go-kart thing.
Damn. When you went to the races, is this road course, oval?
All asphalt road course stuff.
And how did you...
stuff about the size of, what it go, GoPro, but now it's house.
Right.
Tracks like that.
Yep.
That size.
And you developed your own ability, knowledge, mechanical knowledge, just by trial and error.
Like I said, that was building this development that we lived in. So he had a lot of construction equipment. It was like a construction company building this thing, putting streets in and plumbing and everything. Well, the black guy that worked for him was kind of his manager guy. And Warren took me with him when I was really little. He'd take me with him every day, wherever we went. We'd go. I was riding in the pickup truck with him. I watched that man. There wasn't anything he wouldn't try to fix or work on, do whatever. So I grew up before I even going to school with men all day, building things, doing things, fixing things, and whatever. So I wasn't scared to, when I got that first knobby tire car, one day I said, I wonder what this thing looks like inside this motor. So I'd take something off, put it back on, see if it still runs.
Yeah.
Take a little bit more off the next time, see if it still runs, and I'm trying to figure it out. And then when we started doing the racing part, then I said, these guys are working on these things. So I went over to one of the guys that was supposed to have been really good, and he was showing me some tips on things.
Oh, okay.
And so then I started letting my mind do it. God just gave me an understanding how a lot of this mechanical stuff works.
How did all of this racing fit into your education?
Education kind of got in the way, but other than that, you know, you just went to college.
Where'd you go to college?
Mississippi College. Well, first year I went to Ole Miss. Everybody's heard of Ole Miss.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, went there for a year. Party school, big time. It was crazy. I flunked out. That was the first year, and I said, "Yeah, I ain't doing this.
Yeah.
This is stupid.
Yeah.
It's stupid. I want to." Plus, it really hampered my racing stuff. I was too far away. I wasn't getting to work with it. Wasn't getting to race much.
Yeah.
So I went back home. Went to a Christian college right outside of town, and I commute. And that way, I could still work on the carts. And doing my cart business was getting a little bigger, and things were going along.
When you're, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but you brought up going to that Christian college. Everybody knows that's watched you in your NASCAR career knows you're a man of heavy faith. Like you know, it's a big part of your life. Had that always been that way, or was that something that developed through that experience at college, or was that something that was always part of your household? Or
no, well, our family went to church most every Sunday, and it wasn't convenient or something. It was a kind of a convenient faith at the time. It wasn't anything serious. I was just going through the motions and doing whatever. I believed there was a God. But, I wasn't talking to him, and he wasn't talking to me, and I was just doing my thing.
Yeah.
Just out there calling myself a Christian. I went down front, joined the church when I was 15 years old, just because I did it on Sunday night when the crowd was low. I would embarrass myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, those kind of things. You just check the box off,
Sure.
kind of thing. I thought I had my ticket to heaven in my pocket, and now I can just go.
Right.
And that was kind of why I was living crazy.
And you were living crazy. Yeah. Raising hell.
We would have bunched a lot of people talking about it. Me and some of my friends that I ran with, especially in high school.
Well, as we go through this career of yours and this life, really more than the career, don't let me skip past the part where that started to change. Okay.
Oh, really? If you'll give me this grace.
Sure.
The karting thing grew out of the garage. One day I started working went to college. When I got to college, came back from Ole Miss back to Jackson. And Dad said, "Well, why don't you go to work and help me with real estate stuff? I'll give you some job here to do, some things to take care of." So I actually started doing commercial warehouses, we're buildings. We've done most of the residential stuff that they've done, so we're going to start doing some commercial stuff and get you involved with that, building some buildings and leasing some stuff, and whatever like that. So I was getting my feet on the ground there, but at the same time I was racing cars. And one day I walked in the office and I told Dad, I said, "Dad, I know you think I'm crazy, but I'm going to quit working for you, and I'm going to open up a kart shop, go full time." He said, "You absolutely lost your mind."
Yeah.
And it's just what I want to do. I said, "Well, have at it."
Yeah.
And so I went and rented a place
In
Jackson, rented a place and started one of the first mail order go-kart parts places in the country. And I was doing it super cheap.
Yep.
I went in with the wholesale and everything. Things blew up.
Were you selling for specific manufacturer, like Margay or Horseman?
All of everything.
What was your preference?
Oh, back then at that time, whatever was the best one, the hottest one going, I'd run that.
Yeah.
Push it. But we sold stuff all over the country, and then started selling stuff out of the country, exporting and importing stuff.
Damn. So this thing took off.
Yeah, and 71 was the year, first year I won a national championship. I switched from American-made McCulloughs and all American-made stuff to European engines, and won everything you could win. At the end of the season, I won my first national championship. At the end of the season, the guy that was helping with the motors and whatever, we got an invitation to go to Hong Kong. What? He said, yeah, they got a big race over there. They pay a lot of money, and they'll pay us to come over there. They'll pay us, and then I'll sell them all the cars, and we'll even bring them back. They're gonna give me a bunch of money for the car.
Yeah.
Jumped on an airplane, went to Hong Kong. There's a park right in Hong Kong, in the middle. Big race. Did good. Me and the guy that was with us, we first and second.
Sold your stuff.
Well, stuff, got on an airplane, went back.
Damn.
Then, I don't know what happened. Several years later, somebody told me this world championship thing. I had a really good year. Several years. I think I won like national championship for like 7 or 8 years in a row.
So, I guess I fill in a spot for me between coming back home to college, going to college and locally at home, and getting back to racing and starting your karting business, to winning a national championship. Like, did the winning come, for lack of a better word, did the winning come easy? Was success always part of your experience? Did you have to build up to that sort of
prior to changing to the European engine, just doing the McCullough stuff, I was probably overly aggressive, and I just blew them up all the time. I could keep the motors apart. I mean, we'd start with take a little 2-cycle motor, trying to put nitromethane in the thing, make it make more power.
Yeah.
I found out years later why I couldn't outrun some of the top guys. They had some parts that were not aftermarket parts. They had a lot of titanium parts that they were putting in these motors. And I didn't even know what titanium was.
Yeah.
But anyway, when I changed to the European engine, it was success from then on.
Really?
Killing.
Yeah.
From then on.
So, when you go to the racetrack in let's just say 1971, when you're winning the national championship, you go to the racetrack. Who's with you? Help me understand.
Me and my wife at the time.
You and her.
Yep.
Didn't have anybody else helping.
Nope.
You unload the cart. You do any tire treatment?
No, we didn't do tire treatment back then.
Back then, you got everything ready. As soon as you hit the track, it's ready to go.
I did the motors. I did all the prep. Did everything.
You got a little.
I still got I got a daggum little old, what do you call them, wagons? A little old red wagon.
Yeah.
I got the same little red wagon. I still take it to the kart track today.
Yeah.
That I put my toolbox in and a fuel can in it. And they gave you a place that wasn't much bigger than this table to wash your pit when you were at the racetrack.
Yeah.
And you had everything there. And that was the way it was for a long time.
Yeah.
And before karting really took off.
What was your dad's reaction to your karting business and its success, and then your?
I said I never really got any.
Even after you went in, when you go home,
Still
when you go home and sit at family reunion, sit that national championship trophy on the table. Nothing. Did you want? Did you wish you would have?
Hey, look, my mother never saw me race a go-kart.
Crazy. That's crazy.
My dad never saw me race but the one kart deal. My mother, when we did the Buck Stove deal, that was the first time she ever saw me race ever with her eyes.
Yeah.
She saw me on TV, but that was the first time and the only time she ever got to do it. So when I've watched your show here and watched stuff, it seems like everybody that's in it has started out either them or their family or something that's been a family tradition kind of stuff and whatever. And I'm thinking, no wonder people looked at me like I was odd, because I was.
Yeah.
The background, I told somebody the other day, I said, well, I guess I came to NASCAR 40 years too early. Because now most all the guys that are coming in are all go-karters.
Yeah.
When I was running, we hadn't ever gotten to the point of going to Europe. After running the business for a while and running a whole lot of stuff, I forgot what year it was. I know it was 73 was the first time I went over there. I'd won 3 national championships, I think, that year or something like that. In 3 different divisions. And really confident, overconfident, I guess you might call it. I said, well, we done won all this stuff. We just need to go on over there. They tell me they got this world championship thing in Europe. We just go over there and kick their butt too.
Yeah.
And say, it's all, you know, we're done. We got it all done. I went over there, and they embarrassed me so bad. We could, I mean, there was like over 100 carts. We couldn't even make the main event. What were you at the main third? Everything.
Yeah.
It was, their style of racing was completely different. The rules and regulations they used were different. The weight, they had really lightweight cart stuff, which I could get down to the weight without any problem. But our American style equipment was not competitive with what they had.
Yeah.
Their track layouts were a lot of wiggles.
Yep.
A long straightaway.
Yeah.
So the centrifugal clutch was okay with American stuff, but they had direct drive, just chain over the crankshaft.
Yep.
You know, but there's instant response. And when you all those wiggles, every time we go to hit the throttle, they gap me a cardinal while I was waiting for the stupid clutch.
Yeah.
So we didn't even make the main event. We got to watch it.
Yeah.
And me and another guy that I raced with all my life, he'd gone with me over there, and my wife, the wife that I had my first wife, raced herself, and we just did everything together, and that was pretty cool. But after it was over, we're sitting in the parking lot, just looking at each other, saying, "Well, we want to just go home and play like this never happened."
Yeah.
We couldn't even make the main top 30 carts, and are we gonna go home and work on this?
Yeah.
I'm going home and work on this. So we went back to the house, ordered some European carts, and started running them. Even in the States, I was running them. But it's like running a race with a weight bag on you or something. You know, but I found out, I think, you know, I woke up one day and I said, you know, I won a world championships. I woke up and I said, you know, all that time I was running all those races at a disadvantage, I was just like a runner practicing with weights on. They took the weight off when it was a real race.
Yeah.
And I think that really helped me a lot.
Yeah.
To make it.
That was in '73 when you went there the first time. Did you go back each year? And finally in '78, you won all of it. Had you come close in those other years?
First year didn't make it. Next year, the World Championships. I said, deal. I didn't hesitate.
Really?
So I just parked all my stuff, and he started supplying engines for me.
Okay.
And so we ran his stuff, and we went over there that next year. I think the last final of the World Championships, I think it was like 12th or something, 12, 15, somewhere right in there.
Yeah.
So that was encouraging. And we went back the next year, and I think I finished sixth. Before we go back to the following year, he calls me up and tells me, he said, they sold the business to somebody else, and they're not going to have any factory support anymore.
Yeah.
Now, you give me factory support, and I'll start selling that engine in the States.
Yeah.
I'll start marketing and selling and promoting it here in the United States. They said, you got a deal. And he said, you got a go-kart yet? I said, no, I was going to work on that next. He said, well, call Birrell. He said, they'll take care of you. And so I started importing the Birrell cart and the Ferrella engine. And pushing it. And then I went back over, I think the next year I finished fifth. And then the next year flipped back to sixth. I think that's right. Yeah, sixth, fifth, somewhere anywhere. And then the year in '78 was a crucial year for my life. My first wife decided she didn't want to be married anymore.
Yeah.
Dropped that on me. I think probably June or something like that. World Championships are in September every year.
Yeah.
And so I called the factory guys and told them I wasn't coming. And then told them that they told them what had happened and everything. So we understand then my oldest brother, this is 16 years older.
Yeah.
It was all business too. He calls me up. It's emotional. He said, I was at the World Championships watching last year. You've got to go back because you're so close. I called back you guys in Europe. Told them that I think I'll come anyway. They said, well, we just about handed out everything, all the stuff, I don't know. You come on, we'll take care of it. Come on, we'll make it work.
Yeah.
And so we went. And this is a cool part too. I didn't understand what he meant by give out all the stuff. Because I mean, this is a factory. They got anything and everything. So we get over there and we get the carts, and me and my friend, same friend, would go over there every year. Lynn had him. He's probably the most widely named in karting. Me and him, the two of us, is kind of dominating my stuff. Anyway, we get over there and get everything done. We go to the racetrack, and we get out there and we're practicing and qualifying and doing everything. We out of, like I said, over 100 drivers. We wind up for the first final for the World Championship. We're sitting on the grid. We're third. We're going to start third. And I'm on the go-kart, sitting in the car, ready to push us off. And this young Italian kid comes running up there with 4 tires in his hand. Wheel the tires. Said, put these on the car. I looked at Lynn. Lynn looked at me. Scrambling. We understood right then it was something. When he said he'd given everything out, this kid, it was one of the top drivers for the factory. He had crashed out, and they brought me his tires.
Oh.
Won the first final, won second final. It was over. I was a world champion. They run threes, best 2 out of 3.
Oh.
And I'm only the first 2. So
Yeah.
they wouldn't give me another set of tires for the third final.
Yeah.
They said, we got 2 guys, other 2 factory drivers. We want them to battle it out and see which one of them is going to wind up with second, third.
Yeah.
That's kind of what that Broadway went.
You didn't know it at the time, but there were over hundreds of drivers in this field, 27 countries, just a bunch of talent, right? One of those drivers in the field was there to send him. You didn't know whoever, at the moment who he was going to be.
He wasn't one of the Italians. I wasn't concerned.
Yeah.
Because those guys were the ones you had to beat.
That is forever tied to the story because of who he would become, right?
He's one of probably a handful that I raced against that was less than 18 months were driving cars at the time I was racing in the World Championship.
So
that's why I said I came 40 years too early.
you're an American that went over there and did that. What was the reaction?
The fans seemed to be very pleased about it. I mean, when they have a parade to kind of walk the teams around, each country's only allowed 6 drivers. And so when it comes to the parade, it's just me and Lynn, my buddy, with a flag, walking around with the flag, U.S. We're the U.S. representative. A few years of the World Championship, some other drivers from the States went over, but never made main event.
No.
It was.
So the reception was good.
Yeah, it was good.
You're 30 years old. Yeah, I don't want to drag your emotions through too much today because I know you're an emotional guy.
Yeah, I am.
But being in a marriage, right? That I'm, we both have experienced that and know how, like when you make that commitment, you're kind of all in, right?
It was pretty hard. That was.
I can't imagine, how you pulled yourself together, right? Because I think that no matter how great everything else in the world is going for you or anyone in that situation, when that leg gets kicked out from the table, it's hard to your point, like you didn't want to go over there and run. You didn't really have motivation to.
It's a weird deal because the two of us were just like this always. She did all the marketing and everything for the cart business. There's race on too. And,
did you ever?
We had Lake Junior.
Yep.
And I had him started karting. He was getting his early start with it. And, it just it was devastating. It was devastating, and I think my older brother said, you just need to go. We're laser focused. When it's time to go race, set you on fire, you don't even know it.
Yeah.
And so it took over when I got there. Yeah. It took over, and
that was helpful.
Yeah, I think. Short term. It just made the drive that much harder. I was killing.
Yeah. Did you? I mean, I assume you eventually, at some point, come to terms with that. Carry on with your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're 30 years old now. In 1978. Where is that on the? If a 30-year-old man won the World Kart Championship today, I don't know what the reaction might be. Everybody getting younger and younger. I was
a little older than the guys, not a lot, but a little older than all the guys over there too.
I started in Xfinity feels like my mid-20s, and now these guys are jumping in these cars as early as they possibly can. We got them, wide out there racing a limited late model at Hickory at 12 years old. When you won the World Championship and left to go back home to the United States, where was your motivation? Because, I would imagine you've been there so many years. You've won national championships, all these. You've done it all, and you're 30 years old. So we know that you move on to stock car racing. But when you got home, was there still some fire to compete in karts and continue to do that? Or
I had a business. That's what I did for a living.
Yeah.
So you got the business is still going. I just won a world championship. That's going to be really good for business, and it was really good for business. It was already good, and it got better.
Yep.
But and I got invited to go to. I raced in New Zealand, and I've got a few other trips where the people just wanted me to come.
Yeah.
Go world champ, show up, world champion. They paid the bills and sent me there. Oh, that's cool. It's all right. Sucked to be by myself doing it, but that's just the way it was.
Yeah.
But because I guess I think it was a year before I won. Yeah, it was a year before I won the world championship. One of the Italian drivers had moved on, and he was in Formula One. Well, he came to the world championship just to put. It was in Italy, and that's where he's from, whatever, so it was easy for him to show up. So he comes to the racetrack. This guy named Elio De Angelis. And I was talking to him. I said, Elio, what's it like driving a Formula One car? He looked at me straight as I'm looking at you and said, it's just a big old car. Put that in the back of my mind. I don't really want to live in Europe. I like going over there and visiting and everything, and it was, it's different, it's nice, whatever, but I don't live there.
Yeah.
And I got to thinking, I've done everything I could do in karting. I need to find something else. If I started going to some open wheel events, looking at some open wheel stuff, just thinking maybe this is what I ought to do. And then I got a call from a total stranger. And editor of Car Driver magazine at the time. And he told me, he said, Lake, I understand you're thinking about doing some professional racing. He said, but most all those organizations you're looking at are on life support. It might not be here next year or the year after. They're just struggling big time. He said, but there's another one that's taking off like it's going to the moon. It's NASCAR. I said, I don't even think about going circles, whatever. He said, if you want to do something professionally, you better look at these. You need to do it. I said, I've got some people that would like to have you come up to Charlotte and let them show you around. I said, oh, really? You remember he had a knack for doing this.
Oh yeah.
This was not a new thing for him.
He had an agenda.
He had an agenda. The same year I won the world championships in karts. Mario Andretti won the world championship.